Welcome everyone to this conversation. It's been organised by two organisations, the Faith and Belief Forum and the Board of Deputies for British Jews. My name is Carrie and I lead the Faith and Belief Forum, and I'm joined today by three amazing speakers, Yaakov, Chani and Karen. This recording is taking place for Interfaith Week, where the theme this year is Community, Together We Serve. In this session, you'll hear from people of different life experiences, sharing how their values and their faith inspire them to serve their communities. Each speaker is talking from their own perspective, not on behalf of others. So as you listen, think about the connections between belief, motivation, and community action, and how those might relate to your own life. So our first question is, what does community mean to you? And I'm going to start first of all with Hani. Hani, what does community mean to you?
Community to me means people coming together and looking after each other, being there for each other. And particularly in my Jewish community, it's, to me, us all coming together in prayer, in charity, and, like I said before, support.
Fantastic, thank you. And Karen, what does community mean to you?
So I also find that my Jewish community is really, really central in my life. I love the fact that I have a group of people who are important to me at all kinds of different times, both times where we're celebrating, events, could just be festivals during the year. It could be special life events like bar or bat mitzvahs, which is when young people come of age when they're 13, weddings, those sorts of things, but also in difficult times, and there's been a lot of difficult times in the Jewish community and in the world in recent years. And so it's really important that we can come together and be together in those times as well. And the other thing that I love about being part of a wider community is the intergenerational aspect. So we have children and families, we have older people, and we have everybody in between. And that's really special to have that wider context in life, really, that you can be with lots of different people.
That's fantastic, and a wonderful message for Interfaith Week, together in our diversity, but also together in the good and the bad. Yaakov, what about you? What does community mean to you?
Community, it means a lot. It plays a big part in my life as just an Orthodox religious Jew, but just seeing the impact of just the wider community around me, it can be a big impact. Just seeing everyone just coming together for special events on Friday nights at synagogue when we all come to pray, or just saying hello to neighbours that you wouldn't normally speak to, or just on Sabbath they say Good Shabbos. It's just very nice feeling all together.
Thank you so much. And just in case people don't know, could you tell us why you come together on Friday nights?
So Friday night is the beginning of the Sabbath. It starts 25 hours before sundown on Saturday evening. And it is basically, it's the Sabbath, it is the day of rest when God rested from creating the world. So we rest, we don't go on electronics, we come and pray once in the evening, then 4 times in the day. And then it concludes with a ceremony called Havdalah, where we pray, basically like transitioning from the holiness of the day to just back to the regular week.
Brilliant, thank you so much. Okay, my next question here, we have three speakers who do amazing work for their communities. So I really would love to know what motivates you to build or care for your community. Where does that motivation come from? And I will start with you, Karen, if that's okay. What motivates you to build community?
So I think for me, it's an expression of my Jewishness. So I've always been brought up with this concept of tikkun olam, which means that we're put on this earth to help repair it, because, it's a very broken world that we live in. And so for me, I do things to try and make things a better place, really. And so I'm involved. I was one of the founder members of a charity called Salam Shalom Kitchen in Nottingham, where we basically provide hot meals and grocery bags, and also combat social isolation and loneliness in people. So they come together with us every week to get some food. So it's open to anybody in the community, and we particularly work in an area which is quite, you know, a poor, underprivileged area where people are struggling to feed themselves and their families. And we have a whole range of people who come. And so, you know, the reasons I do that very much comes from my Jewishness. And there's another phrase that that we use that Rabbi Hillel said, you know, if I am only for myself, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? So I have to do, you know, I have to look after myself. But if I am only for myself, then what am I? There's another little bit at the end, but that's not as important for this right now. So I think those are really important values and reasons why we do the things that we do.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. And Hani, what about you? What motivates you to build or care for your community?
As part of the Jewish community, one thing we were brought up with is that as Jews, we will laugh together, we'll cry together, we feel each other's pain and we feel each other's joy. Even if we don't know each other, we'll hear a Jew suffering and we're suffering inside as well. And from my own childhood, my brother was very ill, and the community came together, in particularly Camp Simcha as well. They are a charity that helps support families with seriously ill children, and they made sure to support every single person in my family. No one was left out. And having had that support from Camp Simcha and from the rest of the Jewish community, whether it was prayer or financial support or helping us with food for Shabbat, they were incredible. And as an adult, I now want to be on the giving end and be able to give back to my community and help those who helped me.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's a really beautiful example. And Yaakov, what about you? What motivates you to build or care for your community?
So when I was younger, my teachers at school, my rabbis, they big emphasis that in the times of the Holy Temple, or the big emphasis on community, each bit of the tribes, they had their part. The Kohanim, the priests of Judaism, they would directly pray to God. The Levites would go and assist them. Then everyone else, the Yehudim, they would supply what was needed through their offerings. And that would sustain everyone else. And that idea of community coming together, everyone plays their part, had made a big impact. So I was taught from a young age, big impact like how I view, how I can help, what can I do throughout my community, and through that. I'm mainly involved with two organisations, one being the Friendship Circle, which makes a big emphasis on people who are neurodivergent and need, maybe they're not as socially active as all of us are. So they need sometimes to be helped brought together. And the whole idea is in the name Friendship Circle, be friends with everyone. The other organisation is the Fed. They're mainly a Jewish welfare organisation based in Manchester. They have a retirement home called Heathlands, which it's not just retirement home, it provides support for families as well, and it gives a general sense of community despite the age gap between the people and the volunteers.
Thank you so much. And I love that concept of us all playing our own parts in community and each part being completely necessary. Thank you. So my last question for you all is, what are some of the key challenges that you've faced regarding community and belonging? And how has your faith community helped you? And Yaakov, I'm going to start with you again, if that's okay.
For me personally, a lack of time, because I see so much around me that I want to help out with. Again, from my faith, it just helps. There's a whole idea of community that gets repeated time and time again throughout all the teachings and the rabbi speaking, but there's only so many hours in the day that I can actually help with between school and everything else. The time I do, I make sure it's quality and I can do as much as possibly I can.
And it sounds like you're still doing a lot.
Yeah.
And Hani, what about you? What are some of the key challenges that you've faced regarding community and belonging?
For myself, the biggest challenge would be antisemitism. It's the fear that wherever I go, I'm hated because I'm a Jew. And it's the constant feeling of, looking over your shoulder Do they hate me? Being careful on social media. Do I announce that I'm Jewish? Do I hide it? Do I share it proudly? And keeping off social media as well, reading the most horrific stuff. It gets very upsetting. So I find to keep off social media is probably best for myself, for my mental health. And what helps me is my faith in God, that God is looking out for me and everyone else. And I feel safer to know that he's watching out for me, and whatever happens is because he wanted it to happen. And it's not in my hands.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And I'm really sorry for everything that you've been through as well. And Karen, what about you? What are some of the key challenges that you've faced regarding community and belonging?
So we've also had some challenges around, anti-Semitism, worrying about whether you're safe. Because I work in a Muslim and Jewish organisation, we also have to stand up against Islamophobia. And then we've also had to do some quite, difficult conversations between the two groups, and look at where our differences and similarities are, and where we can support each other and where we have to agree to disagree about things. And that's not always easy to do, but it's really, really important work to be done. And even within my synagogue, there are people with very, very different views, and they come from different political kind of standpoints and different sort of social ends. So actually our community has been, we've managed to hold our community together through these last difficult years since October 7th, when there's been terrible attacks on Israel, and since the Gaza war, which I would also say has been terrible for many, many people, and too many people have died all around. And that has been very, very difficult for so many people across the world, but particularly for Jews to cope with. And that has been quite divisive in our community. There's quite divided feelings about that. But what I'm very proud of in my community is that actually we've come together a lot around it. And, we get a lot of support from each other and from other allies outside as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And can I ask, how do you stay in the same room when you believe things that are so different, and what has helped you get through those really challenging moments?
Well, I actually think that having relationships with people and seeing people beyond the differences is the really important bit, so that, you can see the humanness in another person, so that, they're not othered. People are not different from us. People are the same. But actually having those relationships that are already in place before there are difficulties, it's really difficult to make those relationships when you're in a time of conflict. Doesn't mean to say you shouldn't be trying, but actually, like with Salam Shalom Kitchen, we already had 8 years of relationships and working together before things got really, really tricky in the last little while.
Means you're able to weather the storm. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your vulnerability, and thank you so much to our 3 amazing speakers for talking about the really inspiring work that you do and where it comes from. Interfaith Week is an opportunity for us to explore the incredible work that's done by people of faith in our society, and how faith and belief can motivate us to rebuild something that's so much better and more beautiful and more community-minded than what has come before. I think it's also an opportunity for us to have the difficult conversations, and for us to stay in conversation with each other, even when we feel discomfort and even when things get tough. So thank you so much, everyone, for really being examples of that today. And to everyone watching, wish you a very happy Interfaith Week.